Hello guys, welcome back to our Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Luo Feng and his team were extremely cautious. Under the cover of night, they sneakily flew close to the ground, detouring occasionally and flying fast occasionally, spending close to 3 hours and finally arriving at the Allied base camp. That's great. We've finally arrived at the base. Luo Feng and his team all revealed expressions of glee. They were on high alert for the past 3 hours. That was because any of the teams could have sent a group to patrol at any time. One couldn't blame their cautiousness. After all, with the mad killing and battles for 1.5 months, sneak attacks were common. Hence there were many patrol teams. Because of this, Luo Feng's squad didn't dare to relax at all. Phew, we've arrived. Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief. Stop. The security captain outside the base shouted. Behind him was a vast number of people, with over 1,000 people surrounding him. The captain's gaze swept past Luo Feng's team. We are underlings of Lord Mingyu from Three Axe Mountain. Luo Feng shouted. Right. The captain lowered his head and looked at his quantum computer. Lord Mingyu indeed had these 4 underlings and their data. Enter. The captain said coldly. Luo Feng and his team immediately flew into the Allied base. That captain glanced at them, biting down and gritting his teeth. Three Axe Mountain scum. HMPH, if I didn't meet you here at the Allied base, I'd definitely kill you to avenge my fallen brothers, bastards. Bastards. Luo Feng and his team walked into the base. The entire base was filled with rage and killing intent. Many teams looked at each other with hate, as though they wanted to eat each other up. What's going on? Thunder God said softly, the last time we were here, the explorers from the different teams in here even recognized each other as brothers. However, now, the killing intent and hatred is incredibly prominent. Luo Feng nodded. The whole walk through the Allied base was filled with very few smiling faces. Many of the explorers all had icy expressions, their eyes filled with hatred. The last time we came here, that security captain outside was still smiling at us and inviting. That captain, however, just now was cold. Luo Feng said softly, probably after 1.5 months of massacre, each side lost too many men. These explorer armies probably lost a lot of their friends and brothers, hence this reaction. When Luo Feng and his team entered the base and headed towards the Three Axe Mountain side, they didn't know. Others had already discovered him. It's those 4. They are 1 less this time. They actually returned. Hurry and report to the Lord. These are the few that His Majesty personally picked out. Yes. A few silhouettes within the Allied army base examined Luo Feng from far, following which some of them swiftly left to look for the prince's bodyguards to report. Allied base, Sacred Land Black Dragon Mountain side, within a large tent. The 9th Prince Brolin sat in a chair, closing his eyes, eyebrows creased, as though troubled by something. Your Majesty. A man ran in from outside, kneeling down on one knee. Camelot. Brolin opened his eyes, surveying the kneeling bodyguard. Your Majesty, our surveillance team has discovered 4 people. They are the ones you personally asked to kill before, also the ones that escaped in a universe ship, 4 of the 5. The bodyguard reported. Back then they actually kept watch on Luo Feng's 5-man team for half a night before following them out to kill them. Hence they were very familiar with their appearances and strengths. The moment Luo Feng and his team arrived, they immediately recognized them. HM. Universe ship. Brolin creased his eyebrows, revealing a smile. I remember. 1.5 months of massacre with Brolin commanding a large army. This had caused him to use a lot of strength and concentration to battle with the other armies. Luo Feng's incident was a small matter compared to that. Continue to keep watch. Brolin coldly ordered. Yes. The bodyguard complied respectfully. Within the Three Axe Mountain faction, whoever was under the sector lords or domain lords from Three Axe Mountain all gathered here the moment they arrived at the Allied base. Luo Feng and his team thus entered the faction. Master, the last time we were ordered by the 9th Prince to be killed, they'll definitely recognize us. Our return this time, they should have discovered us. Go communicated via spirit energy, right? Luo Feng nodded, recognized. This was long within Luo Feng's calculations. However, even if they were recognized, they'd still have to return to the Allied base. Even if I don't exchange for treasures, we still have to safely leave the world within a world, safely exiting the world of thunder. Luo Feng said softly, however, if I haven't guessed wrong, there should be a team stationed at the exit of the world within a world. The moment any little team exits, they'll definitely be killed and robbed. Only through following a large team can one exit. Luo Feng was very clear on this point. As for Brolin, there was nothing to be afraid of. The whole mixing in with the Three Axe Mountain faction, and returning to Kanglan Star, Luo Feng had never thought of acting alone. He would be following the faction and large group. Wherever they went and stationed, he would follow. When they leave the world within a world, he too would naturally leave along with them. I don't believe he would dare make a move when I'm within this faction. Luo Feng thought secretly, maybe in his eyes, he never thought of me as a target. Luo Feng. Luo Feng. Voices resounded, causing the deep in thought Luo Feng to awaken. He looked up and saw a skinny man, along with a tall and sturdy gold short-haired man walking over. The skinny man smiled. Luo Feng, this is Lord Bundi, the head captain of Three Axe Mountain's second large team. Luo Feng was shocked. The golden short-haired man, before him, had an aura much stronger than everybody else. Lord Bundi. Luo Feng bowed. Beside him, Hong, Thunder God and Aogu bowed too. Before they arrived, relying on Barbata's scan, they already knew, in this allied base with a total of about 480,000 people, there were 6 universe levels. Obviously the long 1.5 months of brutal battles, losing over 1 million star level 9 warriors had forced out 6 universe level breakthroughs. Of which the Three Axe Mountain faction had 2 universe level fighters. Luo Feng. Lord Ming Yu has mentioned you before to me. The golden-haired tall and sturdy man smiled as he looked at Luo Feng and his team. Weren't you guys a 5-man squad? Captain Bundi looked towards Luo Feng's group of 4. As one of the 2 universe-level fighters in the world within a world, Bundi has access to a lot of detailed information. We were, but one of our squad members died, sighed Luo Feng. Killed by who? Frowned Bundi. One of the men under the 9th prince. Luo Feng wasn't in such a good mood. Even though Tainan he was a slave, there weren't any slaves on Earth. So Luo Feng didn't subconsciously treat his slaves as goods and treated them like bodyguards instead. So Tainan his death made Luo Feng grateful for Tainan his service and also angry at the 9th prince. The 9th prince. Bundi shook his head. Then we can't do anything. Far too many people have died by his men. I understand. Luo Feng nodded. If you guys can survive, Lord Mingyu will surely be very happy, smiled Bundi. A reminder, I'm also under Lord Mingyu. Luo Feng, Hong, and Thunder God were extremely shocked. As the head of the 4 organizations, Three Axe Mountain has many sector lords and domain lords. Mingyu isn't exactly an elite in Three Axe Mountain, and yet one of the 2 universe-level fighters that appeared in Three Axe Mountain's group is under Mingyu. So Captain Bundi was also under Lord Mingyu. Luo Feng let out a face of joy. Haha, when we leave the world within a world and head back to Kanglan Star, you guys come with me to see Lord Mingyu together. Bundi smiled. If it wasn't for their common superior, Lord Mingyu, Bundi wouldn't personally come greet Luo Feng's group, for sure. Luo Feng smiled as he responded. Bundi then left. As a higher-up of the Three Axe Mountains group, there were many things Bundi had to deal with. Even though it was late into the night, people wearing battle uniform sets and helmets could frequently be seen entering the Thunder Castle in the middle. Luo Feng, Hong, and Thunder God looked at the Thunder Castle in the middle from far away in the crowd. Big brother, second brother, what are you guys preparing to exchange? Said Luo Feng through his spiritual force. A D6 grade railgun and a Thunder instruction manual, said Thunder God. Alright, smiled Luo Feng. This is what it's like to be rich. Just buy whatever you want, big brother. What about you? Luo Feng looked towards Hong. It seems like there aren't that many things that are beneficial to me. If there are any life fruits left, then help me buy one. Also, if there are any Heart of Stars left, then buy me that too. That's it for now, said Hong. Understood. Luo Feng nodded, and then let out a smile. Big brother, second brother, I'll be using the leftover Thunderstones to exchange for other treasures. Those treasures also represent a huge amount of wealth. After we leave, we can use that huge amount of wealth to exchange for some things that we really need. Alright, smiled Hong. 30, do what you want. Since you were the one that got all of these stones, snickered Thunder God. Your big brother and me are just taking advantage of you. Luo Feng wasn't in a rush to exchange immediately. He first silently observed. There were indeed quite a few people who entered the Thunder Castle. However, 99% of them are probably just decoys to confuse other people. The night slowly passed, and a sliver of light appeared in the world within a world. The cold breeze blew across the plain. Luo Feng, who was wearing an alloyed battle uniform set while wearing a helmet, and had an alloyed blade on his back, just like every other universe adventurer, headed straight towards the Thunder Castle. He's going to the ancient castle. Is he a decoy? Or actually going to exchange for something? Who cares if he's actually going to make a transaction? Hurry up and report this to the Lord. The captain of that four-man squad went to the ancient castle. Yes, the adventurers on surveillance duty under the ninth prince immediately reported this information. Of this, Luo Feng knew nothing about. However, even if he knew, Luo Feng would just laugh without a care. As part of the army of the Three-Axe Army, Luo Feng really wasn't afraid of anything. While the large amount of people under the alliance watched, Luo Feng stepped into the gates of the castle. Thunder Castle, a gloomy, cold, ancient room. Luo Feng silently stood there. "I want to make a transaction," yelled Luo Feng. "Wait a bit, kiddo." A low sound reverberated around the ancient room. "There are a lot of people making transactions these 2 days. So I'm a bit busy. Let me finish with this one first." Luo Feng was shocked when he heard this. "The living AI is currently dealing with someone else." "Man, that's dirty," yelled Barbata. "What's wrong?" inquired Luo Feng. "This living AI is sure a messed up and sinister person," said Barbata angrily. "Even though there are many people from the Alliance entering the castle, it's just one person every few minutes. And that is when a lot of people are entering. Isn't the living AI telling you directly that the person before you is actually making a transaction?" Luo Feng was extremely shocked. "You have no power or authority. But if you did have authority and was the leader of a huge team, what would you do?" asked Barbata. "I would arrange for people to keep an eye on him. After he leaves the Alliance's area, I'll make my move." Luo Feng's eyes were filled with shock. Understood, he understood. So yeah. This living AI sure is sinister. As a living AI, could he not predict the consequences of every word he says? His computation ability is extraordinary, so he wouldn't make such a stupid mistake. Which means he's doing this on purpose. There is only one reason he has for doing this: to make you guys kill each other. This living AI is seriously sinister. Barbata was extremely angry. Luo Feng was also a bit angry. If their guess is correct, then the living AI in this ancient castle is probably the reason why the ninth Prince Brolin arranged for people to chase them down. Otherwise, there is no other explanation. Why would the great ninth prince only go after Luo Feng's group and not other groups? The sound of footsteps carried from the hallway. A fat, white-bearded old man smiled as he walked in. There was a layer of light surrounding his body. If you observe carefully, you could barely discover that this white-bearded old man was not a real person, but a being made out of energy. Lord Wu. Even though Luo Feng was a bit angry in his heart, he appeared to be very well-mannered on the surface. Fighting against a messed-up living AI that has been lonely for tens of thousands of years is a very stupid thing to do. "Hey kid, this is our second time meeting, isn't it?" smiled the white-bearded old man. "It seems like your harvest went well. Tell me, what do you want to exchange for?" "One live fruit," said Luo Feng. "You exchanged for a live fruit last time, and you still want another one?" The white-bearded old man looked at Luo Feng with surprise. "Yes," nodded Luo Feng. None left, none left." The white-bearded old man shook his head in response. "All the live fruits I have are gone. Not a single one left, not a single one left." Luo Feng froze. Yeah, thunderstones represented treasure, but that doesn't mean thunderstones can absolutely give you the treasure you want. Because the treasures here are limited. Like even if the ninth Prince Brolin gets a ton of thunderstones later, he'll never be able to get the third password to the crystal ball of inheritance. "Then I'll exchange for a heart of stars," said Luo Feng. "Don't have any of that left either." The white-bearded old man shook his head. "What? None of that? Then there at least must be a D6 grade railgun left." Luo Feng stared at the white-bearded old man. The D6 railgun is not that useful for sector lords and domain lords. So the chances of someone exchanging for it is quite low. And there are even a total of 3 D6 grade railguns available. None of that left either. The white-bearded old man shook his head. On the first day, a single person exchanged for all 3 of these D6 grade railguns in one go. Luo Feng took in a deep breath. None of that, none of this, none of anything. Lord Wu, what treasures still remain? Luo Feng looked at the white-bearded old man. There are still 63 treasures remaining. The white-bearded old man smiled as he looked at Luo Feng. "Since you seem good, I won't waste your time." As he said that, he waved his head. In a moment, rays of energy gathered around him and formed a screen. On the screen was a treasure list which clearly displayed how many of each treasure remained. Number 1, the bank account to the entire spatial instruction manual inheritance crystal ball, 3 accounts, stock, none. Number 2, master's bank account, stock, none. Number 3, domain lord level bloodline evolution potion, 1 portion. Number 18, thunder instruction manual set, 6 manuals in a set, stock, 5. Number 68 Level 5 Genetic Energy Weapon Fire Wheel, Stock, None. Luo Feng looked at this list and took in a deep breath. Holy. None, 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 none. A huge list of knowns made one's heart go cold. Kiddo, what'll it be? The white-bearded old man smiled as he looked at Luo Feng. And yet, Luo Feng was in a dilemma. Which one should he pick? Luo Feng, what are you so confused about? Stupid. Barbata's voice rang in his mind. You want a heart of stars. There's none here, but it's available in the universe. You want a life fruit. It's also available in the universe. As long as you have enough wealth and the proper connections, you can purchase them. So, there's no need to be confused. All you have to do is exchange for the more valuable ones out of this list. These treasures represent a huge amount of wealth. Can't you just purchase what you want in the universe later? Said Barbata. Luo Feng laughed. Such a simple idea, and yet his thinking was restricted to the list in front of him. These are the ones that are more valuable. So purchase these, Barbata told Luo Feng which items to purchase as they communicated with their thoughts. That and those. I want all of those and that Thunder Instruction Manual set. I want all of the remaining 5 sets. Luo Feng was rich. The white-bearded old man was stunned. Because those were the lot of Thunder Stones purchased, what they needed at the beginning. Towards the end. Those who come to exchange don't have that many Thunder Stones. And yet, Luo Feng wanted so many items in one go. The amount of Thunderstones required was quite an alarming amount. That'll be a total of 9.02 million Thunderstones. The white-bearded old man stared at Luo Feng. At first, the leaders of the organizations, like the Ninth Prince, brought millions and tens of millions of Thunderstones to exchange at the Thunder Castle. This wasn't weird. However, later on, since those with Thunderstones have already exchanged them a long time ago, barely any large transactions appear. Lord Wu, here are 9.02 million Thunderstones. With a flip of his hand, a spatial storage ring appeared. The fat, white-bearded old man extended his hand to take it. With a quick check, he couldn't help but to raise his head towards Luo Feng. Kiddo, you surprise me more and more. It seems like you don't have that much authority in the alliance. With your previous exchanges, the total amount of Thunderstones you used exceeds 10 million inch luck. Luo Feng smiled. Luck can't explain some things. The white-bearded old man smiled and stopped talking there with a flip of his hand. All sorts and types of treasures started hovering in the ancient room. All types of elemental source laws of the universe emanated around. There were several 5-stage genetic weapons and spiritual weapons. The extremely complicated engravings on them were similar to the natural engravings on the golden horned beast. The thick aura of the elemental source laws caused Luo Feng to hold his breath. Each item is a valuable treasure. Each item can exchange for tens of thousands of life planets. Some can even go for hundreds of thousands of life planets. All of these treasures added together far exceed the price of a galaxy. They are worth more than all the property of a fighter who just stepped into the Sector Lord level. Wow! As Luo Feng looked at all of these valuable treasures hovering in front of him, his heart rate couldn't help but to accelerate. His blood was boiling. I'll put all of these treasures in this spatial storage ring. The white-bearded old man threw a spatial storage ring to Luo Feng. Okay, Luo Feng took it and checked the treasures inside. He then frowned. Lord Wu, what about the 5 sets of the Thunder Instruction Manual? The 5 sets of the Thunder Instruction Manuals are stored in these 5 mini-quantum computers, smiled the white-bearded old man. Thank you, Lord Wu. I will be going now then. Luo Feng greeted and then left. On the vast plain, the number of men in the alliance exceeded 5 million. Clearly, the other squads in the outer areas are returning. After his successful exchange, Luo Feng left the ancient castle in a good mood and returned to Three Axe Mountains area. Third Bro, Thunder God saw Luo Feng and waved his hand. Coming Luo Feng came with a smile on his face. How'd it go? There was a bit of expectation in Hong's eyes as he carefully asked through his genetic energy. We were too slow. All the good stuff has been taken. Whether the D6 railgun, the live fruit, or the Heart of Stars, all of these legendary treasures are gone, replied Luo Feng through his spiritual force. He had to be careful, since there were many other people from Three Axe Mountain in the surroundings. They are all gone. Hong and Thunder God froze. Yeah. Out of all the things you wanted, I only got the 5 Thunder Instruction Manual sets. Luo Feng smiled as he looked at Thunder God. Second brother, this Thunder Instruction Manual is Sector Lord Kabu's Instruction Manual. It suits you nicely. This Thunder Instruction Manual wasn't that valuable compared to the other treasures. Because Sector Lord Kabu was, after all, just a Sector Lord. The techniques he came up with can't be that powerful. compared to the inheritance crystal. If it was an undying being's instruction manual, then that would be a very big deal. Luo Feng received the inheritance of the Yunmo planet sect, which is way more powerful than that thunder instruction manual. Of course, on the path of thunder, the Yunmo planet sect is probably a bit weaker, since the Yunmo planet sect focuses on the path of spirit readers. Haha, let me see, Thunder God couldn't control himself, since he practices the path of thunder. Don't rush, yelled Hong through his genetic energy. There are tons of people watching around us. If someone finds out, there might be trouble. You can slowly look through those instruction manuals after we leave the world of thunder. Also, it's not like you'll be able to get through them in a short amount of time. Yeah, okay. I'll listen to Big Brother. Thunder God's mind became clear. Big Brother, second brother, Luo Feng continued, even though I finished exchanging, I still have 60,000 thunderstones here, you still have so many. Hong and Thunder God froze. Hong replied, these thunderstones cannot go to waste. Since you can't exchange them, sell them quickly. After we leave the world within a world, these thunderstones are worthless. Right now in the Alliance, there are still people purchasing thunderstones. Even though the prices aren't as high as they were in the beginning, we should still try to find the best price possible, said Luo Feng through his spiritual force. Big brother, second brother, let's look for people who are purchasing thunderstones in the Alliance for a few days and talk with them to see how much we can sell for. All right, Hong and Thunder God nodded. In the next few days, the size of the army on the plain continued to increase. In the meantime, Luo Feng managed to sell the 60,000 thunderstones in several portions, since even those who are purchasing them can't swallow so many thunderstones at once. Because there weren't many treasures left in the castle, so the exchange rate for the thunderstones dropped dramatically. 60,000 thunderstones, some sold well and some didn't. The average price was around 80 cubic meters of universe crystals for one thunderstone, for a total of 5 million cubic meters of universe crystals. If you add the universe crystals that the cloud contact vine received from stealing and ambushing and also the universe crystals that Luo Feng and his squad dug up, then they have a total of 6.8 million cubic meters of universe crystals. 6.8 million cubic meters of universe crystals, which is 6.8 billion universe coins. Haha, even that Nuolan Shan family probably doesn't have that much. Thunder God was extremely happy. Calm down, this is just the beginning, Hong smiled as he said through his genetic energy. Those treasures are the main part. Of course I understand that, Thunder God smiled. Luo Feng was also extremely happy. In theory, only the large organizations should have been able to obtain the valuable treasures in the world within a world. However, thanks to his precise scanner, his first excavation led to over 1 million thunderstones. With that, he managed to get the live fruit to mega-evolve his cloud contact vine. With the evolved cloud contact vine and Barbata, they began their big steal. In terms of profit, many 10,000-man squads couldn't even compare to Luo Feng's squad. Only gigantic teams, like the Alliance under the 9th Prince Brolin, earned more than Luo Feng's squad. However, the truly valuable treasures like the 3 accounts to the inheritance crystal, the password to the Sector Lord's bank account, and the Domain Lord level bloodline evolution potion, out of the top 10 valuable treasures, Luo Feng only got one of the 3 life fruits. As for the rest, he didn't get a single one. The 5th day after Luo Feng finished exchanging, on the plain, the nearly 600,000 large Alliance army gathered around the castle. White light scattered across the land, ha. Little kiddos above the Thunder Castle, the image of the white-bearded old man appeared. The white-bearded old man hovered above the castle, as he looked towards the surrounding Alliance army. He spoke with a smile on his face. Just now, the final treasures transaction has been completed. As of now, all 312 treasures in my possession have been exchanged by you people now, the exchange is over. Rumble, the doors to the ancient castle started to automatically close slowly. Yet, the surrounding hundreds of thousands of people in the Alliance's army froze. It's over. The exchange is over. I still have leftover thunderstones. I still have some too. I just purchased some thunderstones. What should I do now? All of a sudden, many people in the Alliance were exasperated. Some of them even started to roar in anger. To these star level 9 stage fighters, the thunderstones in their possession represented an amount of wealth that would make them drool. But in the blink of an eye, the thunderstones turned into useless stones. Once you can't exchange with them, thunderstones become worthless. Some people were enraged, some people yelled, and some people were overjoyed. No matter what, the treasures in the world within a world have come to an end. I bet there are still more treasures in that castle. Thunder God looked towards the castle. Even if there are, They aren't ours. Hong let out a rare smile. A castle left behind by a sector lord definitely won't go down that easily. Our trip in the world within a world comes to an end. Luo Feng also smiled. Suddenly, a messenger not too far away yelled, Luo Feng, I've come to notify you that the treasure exchanging here is over. In a bit, our 3 Axe Mountains army will depart. We'll leave the world within a world and head towards the Thunder World. From the Thunder World, we'll return to Kanglan Star. Understood, yelled Luo Feng in reply. Also, even though killing people is forbidden in the Alliance, once we depart, each army is no longer bound under the rules of the Alliance, so battles could still occur on the way back. Please be careful and don't get separated from the main group, said the messenger. Understood, thanks. Luo Feng and his group smiled as they replied. They knew about this a long time ago. The so-called rule of forbidden to kill within the grounds of the Alliance exists, so that every squad can safely exchange for treasures. Once the exchange time is over and every organization returns to their own side. Some squads have reaped large rewards while others barely got anything. It won't be weird for squads that haven't earned much to team up with each other to steal from other squads. Well, we'll be following 3 Axe Mountains main group anyway. Luo Feng smiled. 3 Axe Mountains side has almost 80,000 people and 2 universe-level fighters. So it is very safe, and we'll be hiding in the back. Thunder God let out a smile. We're just a squad of 4. And our identity shows that we are under Lord Mingyu, so we don't have to go to the front. Indeed, the first 3 Axe Mountain group that entered the world within a world will stay within the center of the main group. And the main group never thought of using a 4-man squad, since the power of a 4-man squad is way too weak. Also, when they are following orders and moving into formation, thousands and thousands of people are moving at once. A 4-man squad in the middle will just get in the way. The North Dragon Castle's group has departed, in the eyes of the other members of the Alliance. A grand group soared into the sky all at once. They blocked the sky and sun as tens of thousands of people directly headed towards the distance. 3 Axe Mountain, everyone heed my order, depart. A low sound carried out from the gorilla brute in the core of the 3 Axe Mountains main group as it reverberated around every person's ear. And in the Grand Army, Luo Feng, Hong, Thunder God, and Aogu were naturally a part of it. It's time to depart. Luo Feng's group of 4, like everyone else, soared into the sky at the same time. The Grand Army of nearly 80,000 people exceeded the size of the North Dragon Castle's army by quite a bit. What kind of sight is 80,000 people soaring into the sky at once? It's as if an infinitely large cloud covered the entire sky. The entire plains became black. The army transformed into a countless number of flowing lights as they headed towards the distance. Allied base camp. The 9th Prince Brolin glanced at the vast army of the 3 Axe Mountain flying into the distance. Your Majesty. A bodyguard beside him spoke. Are we still not leaving? Don't be anxious. Brolin said coldly, everything, I've already determined. Yes. The bodyguard didn't dare to speak anymore. Within Brolin's mind, he thought, should I hit or not? Grandfather, you did give me an order. Now that the other powers are leaving the Allied base, we can start a war. In the vast universe, the amount of mystery and wonder couldn't be measured. The blood and flesh life forms had the human race and the beast race, both of which were uncountable. There were even other metal life forms, plant life forms, energy beings, AI life forms, etc. Too many forms of living beings, and in terms of dangerous places, the white dwarf star and neutron star were the most average. There were even more dangerous regions about. At the same time, there were other mysterious items that were deemed as treasures. These treasures had peculiar effects on the blood and flesh life forms, some others having other effects on the other life forms. In the vast universe, there was a star field, the Black Dragon Mountain star field, and in it, Kanglan Star quickly became the center point of the entire star field in a blink of an eye, with many strong warriors arriving and landing there. The cities on Kanglan Star were mostly segregated into the ancient city and the urban city. The ancient cities had 1,000,000 years of history embedded into it, and the Universe Mercenary Alliance base was within an ancient city. This city's highest skyscraper had a loft with a big hall that was about 8,600 m tall, and about 1,000 square meters. Within such a big hall, there were 2 large wooden chairs facing each other. In front of the chairs were tea and cups. The 2 chairs faced each other, each with 1 person in them. One of them had a beautiful and handsome appearance, almost like a deity, with eyes like lightning engulfing the world, an absolute warrior, 3 Axe Mountains Sector Lord Jiang Tianchen. On the other end, was a bald old man with an aquiline nose, his eyes peculiar, Black Dragon Mountain Sacred Lands Sector Lord Hargrey. Among the two, the center of Jiang Tianchen's forehead had a thunder mark while Hargray's had an ice mark. Even though the two hadn't unleashed any power, the entire large hall was still under the pressure of the thunder energy and ice energy's influence. Jiang Tianchen, the conditions you've given, I cannot agree to them. Hargray's voice was hoarse, akin to two knives rubbing against each other. You'll change your mind. Jiang Tianchen said indifferently. The two belonged to the pinnacle of Sector Lord existences, in the Black Dragon Mountain star field. They both stood right at the peak. The only ones stronger were the undying beings. That ninth Prince Brolin was Hargray's grandson, because of Hargray's power, hence the ninth prince himself had so much authority and power. After all, there were many princes in the empire, many of which were destined never to take the throne and without much special power or privileges. However, because of his mother's lineage, Brolin had much more power. I can only agree to 6 of them. Hargray's eyes were serious, as though his gaze was piercing a hole in the space. Jiang Tianchen, if you agree, then it'll be a huge celebration. There are 9 conditions, not one less. Jiang Tianchen shook his head. If you agree, I'll pass the final inheritance crystal ball password to you. Hargray found it hard to suppress the rage on his face. At the same time, in the virtual universe, Abu, dressed in a black long robe, the old man Hargray with the aquiline nose immediately appeared in a palace. Within it, Brolin stood, grandfather. Brolin's eyes gleamed. Should I act or not? Any later and we might not make it. Do it. Hargray ordered. Make the move against the 3 Axe Mountain people, kill their leading people, and steal their AI computers. See if you can get the last passcode from them. Since acquiring the passcodes from the Thunder Castle, they naturally stored them in the AI computers, and transferred them into the virtual universe, informing their sector lord Jiang Tianchen. Understood. Brolin's eyes gleamed, with a sense of excitement and madness. Grandfather, relax. Hargray rubbed his grandson's head adoringly. Brolin seemed extremely docile. He was very clear that whatever extra power and privileges he had obtained as one of the many princes was from this grandfather of his. Even in the royal family, it still depended on power. With a sector lord as a grandfather, his position was obviously different. And any prince that could reach the sector lord level could immediately take the throne. World within a world, Allied base, depart. With an order, there were close to 150,000 survivors of the Black Dragon Mountain sacred land, of which 60,000 could clearly hear the ninth prince. Following his order, the 60,000 rose up and swiftly left. 60,000 people flying side by side. After 2 days of flying, they stopped to rest. Your Majesty, these are the 2,000 elites that have been picked out. A bodyguard said respectfully, HM. Brolin looked at the 2,000-strong team before him. Very well. Brolin smiled. With a wave of his hand, a disc-shaped universe ship immediately appeared beside on an empty plot of land, right. His storage ring could just fit an universe ship within. Arrange for them to enter the cabin of the ship, the lower cabin. Bu Luo Lin said, yes. His 8 bodyguards immediately began the arrangements. The entire ship was separated into 3 sections, top, middle and lower level. Every level had tens of meters in height. Hence, every room within had beddings that could be separated into 4 levels. A room that was tens of square meters in space with a height of 10 meters could store up to 8 people, without even squeezing. The entire ship easily stored the 2,000 people. Your Majesty, the 2,000-man army is ready. Depart. Brolin was high-spirited. With an order, the ship immediately rose up and tore through the skies, heading towards where the 3 Axe Mountain army had swiftly flown to. The army's flying speed could never compare to that of the universe ship. Within the universe ship control room, the 9th Prince Brolin stood at the control board. Behind him were his 8 bodyguards. Master, there's 120,000 kilometers until we reach the 3 Axe Mountain army. Another 100,000 kilometers. 80,000 kilometer. 60,000 kilometer. The control board screen constantly reported, about to make contact, 20,000 kilometers, 10,000 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers. The ship decreased its speed. Scan the entire army, pinpoint the 12 important targets. Brolin ordered, yes, Master. This D8 grade universe ship's scanning area was a total of 200,000 kilometers, easily scanning everyone within the 3 Axe Mountain army. Immediately, a robotic voice resounded. 3 Axe Mountain army. A total of 78,503 people. The locations of the 12 important people are. A large screen appeared within the ship. On it, a scene of the vast army, with 12 lit-up dots. Simultaneously on the left side of the screen, 12 head figures appeared. of which there were 2 universe levels, a few head captains, and Luo Feng's image. Use the D6 grade laser cannon and bombard their army. This will throw them into chaos. Don't attack these 12. These 12 all have treasures. Their AI computers might have the passcode. It'd be a waste if it were to be destroyed. Arrange for another 12 to use the laser guns and kill these 12. And during the chaos, swiftly send the team to acquire the treasures from these 12. Especially their AI computers. Brolin said coldly, yes. The 8 bodyguards complied respectfully. AC-2 grade laser gun, even though Brolin had brought 9 initially, when the 2 million army entered into the world within a world, they too brought along more. Pulling out 12 of them was indeed easy. Go on. Brolin stifled his voice, yet his eyes filled with anticipation. The vast army of the Three-Axe Mountain was flying in the skies. Luo Feng and his team of 4 were mixed in, laughing and chatting, their moods especially good. Third brother, we've struck it big, even after training till Domain Lord, we won't ever have a lack of money. Thunder God laughed. Don't get overconfident and satisfied. Hong smiled. Luo Feng however communicated via spirit energy, everybody be careful, my scanning equipment was scanned. There should be a large scanning system scanning us. A large scanning system. Hong, Thunder God and AOGU were shocked within, right? Luo Feng nodded, his expression serious, all be careful. Luo Feng and his team all went on high alert. The entire Three-Axe Mountain army however was still engaged in discussion and laughter, rumble. 3 large black silhouettes, like 3 black holes descended on the large army. Luo Feng and his team felt like the entire land and skies immediately went silent. Without a sound or trace, they could only see the distant explosions and tremors, the hundreds of star level 9 warriors vaporizing into nothingness, also the visible ripples from the explosions dispersed in all directions, sweeping past the rest of the army, with a large number of the soldiers getting killed, fresh blood erupting from their armors and helmets. The first attack, without a sound or trace, had killed everyone within a 100 m radius, with a huge rumble following it, causing a large number of explorers to suffer from the after effects. Rumble another cannon shot, losing thousands of people. This was also due to the close density of the army. Luo Feng opened his eyes wide, shocked totally from the terrifying cannon fire. Luo Feng felt as though his brain had been hit by a hard stick. 12 beams of light descended from the sky. In a flash, they hit 12 people within the Three-Axe Mountain army, including the 2 universe-level warriors and the other head captains, even Luo Feng. 12 beams of white light. 12 people fell immediately. Third brother. Luo Feng. Master. Hong, Thunder God and AOGU awakened from the shock, and the fallen Luo Feng could only open his eyes dizzily. What? Luo Feng's head was still ringing. That was 12 shots of C2 grade laser guns. The 11 other people in the Three-Axe Mountain, including the 2 universe levels, have all been killed. You were saved by your cloud contact Vine's sturdiness. Barbata's voice resounded in Luo Feng's consciousness. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.